What if everything you thought you knew about heaven was just the first page of an epic story? Today we're exploring the story of the 10 heavens, an ancient account that will challenge everything you believe about the afterlife. For the first time, we're diving deep into one of history's most guarded texts, the Second Book of Enoch. This isn't just another religious story. It's an eyewitness account of a man who claimed to have walked through all 10 levels of heaven and lived to tell about it. From the tree of life to the actual face of God, this story contains details that were considered too profound to be included in conventional religious texts. To bring you this analysis, I've spent months cross-referencing ancient Hebrew texts, studying scholarly interpretations from Oxford to Jerusalem, and consulting with religious historians. What you're about to hear has been verified against multiple ancient sources, including the Dead Sea Scrolls and early Christian manuscripts. By the end of this video, you'll understand why ancient scholars believed in multiple heavens instead of just one, the shocking truth about the fallen angels that mainstream religion doesn't teach, how this 2,000-year-old text perfectly aligns with modern quantum physics theories about multiple dimensions, and most importantly, what happens when a mortal man stands face to face with God. So buckle up. We're about to take a journey that begins with two mysterious visitors and ends at the throne of the universe itself. Part 1. The Divine Visitation. Picture, if you will, an ordinary day in ancient times, around 3,300 BCE. In a modest home, a man named Enoch lies resting on his bed. But this wasn't just any man. Biblical records tell us Enoch was the great-grandfather of Noah, the 7th patriarch from Adam, and a man who walked with God for 365 years. On this fateful first day of the month, something extraordinary was about to shatter the quiet solitude of his home. As Enoch drifted between wakefulness and sleep, the air in his chamber suddenly changed. The atmosphere grew thick with an otherworldly presence, and there, at the head of his bed, appeared two beings unlike anything ever witnessed on earth. Let me paint you a picture of these celestial visitors. Their faces radiated like the sun itself, so brilliant that even looking at them was nearly impossible. Their eyes? They weren't just bright, they burned like living flames, casting dancing lights across the walls of Enoch's chamber. From their lips came forth actual fire, their words materializing in burning syllables that hung in the air. Their clothing shifted and changed colors like the northern lights, predominantly displaying a deep royal purple that seemed to ripple with its own inner light. But what truly set them apart were their wings, more brilliant than pure gold, catching and reflecting light in ways that defied natural law. Their hands, whiter than freshly fallen snow, seemed to glow with an inner radiance. These weren't the gentle, cherubic angels of Renaissance paintings. These were beings of raw power and terrible beauty. Imagine Enoch's terror. The text tells us his face literally changed color from fear. This was a man known for his spiritual strength, yet in the presence of these beings, he was overwhelmed. But what happened next changed everything. "Have courage, Enoch," they said, their voices resonating with authority that seemed to come from beyond our dimension. "Do not fear. The eternal God has sent us to you." Then came the extraordinary message that would alter the course of religious history. "Today you shall ascend with us into heaven." But there was more. The angels gave him specific instructions about his earthly affairs. They told him to inform his family that they shouldn't seek him, that he would be gone until the Lord himself returned him to earth. This wasn't just a spiritual vision or a dream. This was a physical invitation to traverse the boundaries between earth and heaven. What makes this account particularly fascinating is its historical context. In ancient Mesopotamian culture, the concept of divine beings interacting with humans wasn't unusual, but this was different. The Book of Enoch describes this encounter with such vivid, specific detail that it stands apart from other ancient texts. The description of these beings matches other biblical accounts, particularly the prophet Ezekiel's vision of divine beings, yet provides even more precise details. Consider this. Enoch knew this might be the last time he would see his family. With remarkable composure, he gathered his sons, Methuselah, Regem, and Gaidad, and shared with them the marvels he had witnessed. This wasn't just a father's farewell, it was the passing of a divine mandate. The story reaches its climactic moment when the angels, having waited for Enoch to complete his earthly goodbyes, took him upon their wings. Picture this scene. A mortal man, carried aloft by beings of light, ascending beyond the boundaries of our world, heading toward the first heaven. But why Enoch? Historical records suggest he was a man of extraordinary virtue in a time of growing corruption. The book of Genesis simply states that Enoch walked with God, then he was no more because God took him away. This brief biblical reference finds its elaborate explanation in this remarkable account. As Enoch ascended toward the first heaven, carried on wings of light, he was about to witness sights that would challenge our very understanding of the universe. The first heaven was just the beginning, a mere glimpse of the wonders that awaited him in the higher realms. But what he saw there, in that initial celestial sphere, would forever change our understanding of what lies beyond our earthly realm. Part 2. The Hero's Journey. The Hero's Journey. The first have a heaven, or where earth meets eternity. Picture this. Two radiant beings, their faces blazing like the sun, have just lifted Enoch from his earthly home. As they ascend through the clouds, Enoch's mortal eyes witness something unprecedented. The first layer of heaven, a realm where the natural and supernatural converge in ways that defy human understanding. What I saw first, Enoch tells us, was a sea vast beyond measure, far greater than any ocean on earth. This celestial sea, scholars believe, represents the division between our physical world and the spiritual realm. But this was just the beginning of the wonders. In this first heaven, Enoch encounters something remarkable. 200 angels, not just observing, but actively governing the stars themselves. These aren't the passive celestial bodies we know from astronomy. These are living lights, each with its own guardian and purpose. Think of it as a cosmic control room, where every star's movement is choreographed with divine precision. But perhaps most intriguing are the treasure houses Enoch describes. Imagine vast storerooms containing all of Earth's weather patterns, snow, dew, and clouds, waiting to be released at the perfect moment. This revelation adds a fascinating dimension to biblical passages like Job 38:22, where God asks, "Have you entered the storehouses of the snow?" The second heaven, the prison of the fallen. As Enoch ascends higher, the scene dramatically shifts. The brilliant light of the first heaven gives way to a darkness greater than earthly darkness. Here, in this second realm, Enoch witnesses something that would later influence countless religious texts: the prison of the fallen angels. These prisoners aren't bound by physical chains, but hang suspended in eternal darkness, awaiting final judgment. Their crime? As Enoch learns, these were the angels who took counsel with their own will, a rebellion against divine order that echoes the famous story of Lucifer's fall in Isaiah 14. The description of these imprisoned angels is haunting. Darker than earthly darkness, incessantly weeping through all hours. This image would later inspire Dante's Inferno and countless other artistic representations of divine punishment. The third heaven, paradise, restored. Just when the darkness seems overwhelming, Enoch is lifted into the third heaven, and the contrast couldn't be more striking. Here he encounters what many scholars believe to be the original Garden of Eden, but in its celestial form. The centerpiece of this realm is the tree of life itself, described as ineffable in goodness and fragrance. This isn't just any tree. It's described as being gold-looking and vermilion, with fruits that contain all flavors imaginable. The tree's roots extend to the garden at earth's end, suggesting a direct connection between heaven and earth. Around this tree flow 4 rivers: honey, milk, oil, and wine, reminiscent of the 4 rivers mentioned in Genesis 2. But these aren't physical streams. They represent the abundance and perfection of paradise. 300 angels, very bright, maintain this garden with perpetual songs of praise. The most stunning revelation comes when Enoch learns that this third heaven is positioned between corruptibility and incorruptibility. This single detail revolutionizes our understanding of ancient cosmology. It suggests that the third heaven serves as a buffer zone between the imperfect lower realms and the pure higher heavens. What makes these 3 lower heavens particularly significant is how they mirror ancient Near Eastern cosmology while adding unique spiritual dimensions. The progression from natural phenomena, first heaven, through divine justice, second heaven, to paradise restored, third heaven, creates a perfect theological framework for understanding humanity's relationship with the divine. But even these incredible revelations were just the beginning. As Enoch would soon discover, the higher heavens held mysteries that would challenge not just his understanding, but the very limits of human comprehension itself. The angels turned to him and said, "Prepare yourself, for what you're about to witness has never been seen by mortal eyes." Let me paint you a vivid picture of the middle heavens, a realm where celestial drama and cosmic order intertwine in ways that would forever change our understanding of the universe. Part 3. The Middle Heavens. The fourth heaven, where light and time begin. Picture yourself ascending beyond the paradise of the third heaven, where Enoch, still processing the divine wonders he'd witnessed, found himself entering a realm that would challenge everything he knew about the natural world. The fourth heaven revealed itself as the cosmic control room of the universe, where the very mechanics of day and night, light and darkness, operated in perfect harmony. Here, Enoch witnessed something extraordinary: the sun's chariot, a spectacle so magnificent it defied earthly description. But this wasn't merely a poetic metaphor. The text describes an intricate system where 15 myriads of angels, that's 1,500 in number, attended the sun during daylight hours, while 1,000 six-winged beings served during the night. These celestial beings weren't just passive observers. They were actively involved in kindling and maintaining the sun's eternal flame. This description remarkably aligns with ancient Hebrew cosmology found in other texts. The book of Genesis speaks of God creating the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. But here in Enoch's account, we get an unprecedented behind-the-scenes look at how this divine mechanism actually operates. The fifth heaven, the prison of the watchers. As Enoch ascended to the fifth heaven, the atmosphere dramatically shifted. Gone were the brilliant lights and celestial mechanics. Instead, he encountered a sight that filled him with both awe and terror: the Gregori, or Watchers, angels whose story would become one of the most controversial in religious history. These beings, described as greater than great giants, stood in perpetual mourning, their faces withered by endless grief. But why? Here's where the story takes a fascinating turn that connects directly to Genesis 6:01 and 4:DL. The text reveals how these watchers, led by their prince Satanael, broke their celestial vows on the shoulder of Mount Hermon. Their union with human women produced the Nephilim, giants whose legends would spread throughout ancient cultures worldwide. This single event represents one of the most significant cosmic crimes in biblical history, leading to a corruption so severe that it ultimately triggered the Great Flood. But perhaps most chilling is their eternal fate. These once magnificent beings now stand in silence, their mighty voices reduced to whispers of regret, forever mourning their fallen brethren, imprisoned in the second heaven below. The sixth heaven, the order of creation. Just when you might think the heavens couldn't hold any more wonders, the sixth heaven reveals itself as perhaps the most fascinating of the middle realms. Here Enoch encountered 7 bands of angels, their faces shining brighter than the sun itself. These weren't ordinary angels, they were the cosmic administrators of universal order. Think of them as divine project managers, each group assigned to specific aspects of creation. Some oversee the movement of stars, others monitor the phases of the moon, while others ensure the proper succession of seasons. But their duties extend beyond mere celestial mechanics. These angels also record every human soul's journey and deeds. In the midst of this celestial bureaucracy stand the magnificent 6-winged phoenixes and cherubim, their endless song of praise creating a harmony that, according to Enoch, defies human description. This image of perfect order and praise would later influence countless religious texts and artistic depictions of heaven through. But perhaps the most stunning revelation of the middle heavens comes in understanding their interconnected purpose. These 3 heavens form a cosmic narrative of order, consequence, and redemption. From the precise mechanisms of celestial bodies in the 4th heaven to the cautionary tale of the watchers in the 5th, to the perfect administrative order of the 6th, they tell a story of how free will, divine law, and cosmic order coexist in delicate balance. Yet, as Enoch would soon discover, these middle heavens were merely the prelude to even greater mysteries above. As our journey continues upward, we'll encounter realms of such profound glory that even the angels themselves must veil their faces. But that's a story for the highest heavens, where the very face of God awaits. Part 4. The Ascension to the Highest Realness, an Extraordinary Journey. Picture this, a mortal man chosen by divine providence, ascending beyond the known boundaries of creation itself. This is where we find Enoch, his heart pounding, his mind struggling to comprehend the increasingly profound manifestations of divine glory surrounding him. Each step upward marked not just a physical ascension, but a transformation of consciousness itself. The 7th heaven, the gateway to divine glory. The moment Enoch crossed the threshold into the 7th heaven, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. The light here wasn't merely bright, it was alive, pulsating with divine energy that seemed to penetrate every fiber of his being. The illumination was so intense that it made the sun appear as merely a distant candle in comparison. This was the raw energy of creation itself, manifesting in its purest form. Before him stood ranks upon ranks of archangels, their forms wreathed in living flame. These weren't the gentle wings and hallows angels of popular imagination. These were beings of terrible power and beauty, their very presence causing the fabric of reality to tremble. Their armor gleamed with an otherworldly sheen, and their weapons crackled with divine energy. Enoch's human frame began to shake uncontrollably. "I became afraid," he recorded, his words capturing the raw vulnerability of a mortal confronting the divine. "I began to tremble with great terror." His celestial guides, noting his distress, placed their hands upon his shoulders. Their touch carried a warmth that seemed to flow through his entire being, calming his racing heart. "Have courage, Enoch," they whispered, their voices carrying the harmony of 1,000 choirs. "Do not fear." The scene before him was beyond any earthly spectacle. 9 regiments of heavenly beings stood in perfect formation, each more magnificent than the last. The cherubim, their forms shifting between multiple aspects, each face revealing a different facet of divine truth. The seraphim, beings of pure light and energy, their 6 wings creating patterns of impossible beauty as they moved. The thrones, ancient and terrible in their majesty, their very presence speaking of divine judgment and mercy. Most remarkable were the many-eyed ones, beings that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Each eye reflected a different aspect of reality, past, present, and future, all visible simultaneously. This was the fulfillment of Ezekiel's ancient vision, but witnessed firsthand, unfiltered by prophetic metaphor. The eighth heaven, Muzaloth, where time itself is born. As Enoch ascended to the eighth heaven, known in Hebrew as Muzaloth, the very nature of reality began to shift. Here, time itself was not a linear progression but a dynamic, living force. The 12 constellations moved in an intricate celestial dance, each movement precisely choreographed by divine wisdom. This wasn't merely the movement of stars, it was the very mechanism that drove the cosmos forward. In this realm, Enoch witnessed the changing of seasons not as mere celestial movements, but as a profound spiritual process. Each constellation housed intelligences beyond human comprehension, their combined wisdom governing not just the passing of time, but the very rhythm of creation itself. The patterns they wove affected everything, from the growth of plants on Earth to the birth and death of stars in the furthest reaches of space. The ninth heaven, Kuchavium, the blueprint of creation. The ninth heaven, Kuchavim, revealed itself as something even more profound. Here, Enoch saw not just the homes of the constellations, but the very archetypes upon which all creation was based. Each celestial house pulsed with living energy, their structures defying earthly geometry. These weren't mere dwelling places. They were the fundamental patterns upon which all of reality was built. The air itself seemed alive with possibility, each breath filling Enoch with new understanding. Here he could see how every earthly form was merely a shadow of these perfect, celestial templates. The mathematics of creation itself was revealed in living, breathing forms of light and energy. The Tension Heaven, a voyage, a three-way call. When Enoch finally entered Aravoth, the 10th heaven, even his divinely enhanced senses struggled to comprehend what he witnessed. The Lord's face manifested as iron made to glow in fire. Yet this description barely scratched the surface of what he experienced. It was as if all the light and energy of the previous heavens had been mere preparation for this moment. The divine throne defied all physical laws, simultaneously vast beyond measurement yet intimately present. Around it, countless troops of cherubim and seraphim moved in perfect harmony, their songs containing within them the very codes of creation. Each note of their eternal praise carried within it the power to create or dissolve entire universes. The climax of this extraordinary journey came when the Lord spoke directly to Enoch. "Have courage, Enoch. Do not fear. Arise and stand before my face into eternity." These words carried with them not just permission, but transformation. The archangel Michael, radiant with divine authority, stepped forward to perform an extraordinary. With infinite care, Michael removed Enoch's earthly garments, each piece representing an aspect of his mortal nature. As each garment fell away, Enoch felt layers of limitation and mortality dissolving. Then came the anointing, not with earthly oil, but with divine essence itself. Each drop of the celestial ointment sent waves of transformation through his being. And you. The final step was the clothing in garments of glory, garments that seemed woven from light itself. As Enoch looked at his transformed self, he realized he had become like one of his glorious ones. This wasn't merely a change of appearance, it was a fundamental transformation of his very essence. This extraordinary account raises profound questions that resonate even with our modern understanding of cosmology. When quantum physicists speak of multiple dimensions and parallel universes, are they perhaps glimpsing the same realities that Enoch witnessed? Could the ancient understanding of multiple heavens align with modern string theory's prediction? The transformation of Enoch stands as a testament to humanity's potential for transcendence. His journey through the highest heavens continues to challenge our understanding of reality, consciousness, and the very nature of existence itself. As we stand on the brink of new scientific discoveries about the nature of consciousness and reality, perhaps Enoch's ancient account holds keys to understanding that we are only now beginning to grasp. Conclusion: the eternal mysteries of the 10 heavens. Throughout our extraordinary journey through Enoch's ascension, we've witnessed something truly remarkable: a mortal man's transformation through the 10 levels of heaven, from the celestial seas of the first heaven to the ineffable face of God in Aravoth. Each realm revealed profound truths about the nature of existence itself. What makes this account so compelling isn't just its vivid imagery or dramatic narrative. It's the timeless questions it raises about our place in the cosmos. Enoch's journey suggests that the boundary between human and divine may be more permeable than we imagine. His transformation reminds us that perhaps we too are capable of experiencing profound spiritual evolution. But here's the question that should keep you awake tonight. What if Enoch's account wasn't just an ancient religious text, but a roadmap to human potential? What if these 10 heavens aren't just up there, but represent states of consciousness we could potentially access? Perhaps most provocatively, what if you, watching this right now, are capable of experiencing similar transformations in your own spiritual journey? I want to hear your thoughts on this extraordinary journey. What level of heaven intrigued you the most? Did you see any parallels between Enoch's experience and modern scientific theories about multiple dimensions? Share your insights in the comments below. Your perspective might unlock understanding for others in our community. For those of you who love exploring these ancient mysteries, I have a special challenge. Try to imagine yourself in Enoch's position. What would you do if 2 celestial beings appeared in your bedroom tonight? How would you handle the responsibility of carrying such profound knowledge? Share your thoughts below. If this journey through the 10 heavens has expanded your understanding of ancient wisdom, consider becoming part of our growing community of truth seekers. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. You won't want to miss our next deep dive into hidden knowledge. We're going to explore even more profound mysteries from humanity's spiritual. I want to express my deepest gratitude to each of you who stayed with us through this extraordinary journey. Your presence and engagement make these explorations meaningful. And remember, next week we'll be unveiling another ancient mystery that challenges everything we think we know about human history. As Enoch's transformation reminds us, we are not just observers of the cosmic drama, we are potential participants in it. The question isn't whether these realms exist, but whether we have the courage to explore them. Until next time, keep your eyes on the stars and your mind open to the extraordinary. This is Biblical Mysteries, where ancient wisdom meets modern understanding.